Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kayla and today I'm going to be recreating a look that was seen at this year's Met Gala, and the look was inspired by development of QR codes, and the look was worn by nuclear energy influencer Isabelle Boemeke. And I haven't actually heard of her before, but now I'm super interested to find more about what she does and how she influences people in this field. This look was done by makeup artist Tammy El Sumbati. Sorry if I mispronounced that name, but I'll go ahead and put all the info down below in the description if you guys want to go check that out and check out her beautiful outfit and how she looked in this year's Met Gala. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so first thing first, I'm going to start with the skin. So first thing I'm going to do, her skin is pretty matte, and in order to make sure that my skin doesn't show any dryness or the makeup doesn't settle into any lines or pores, I'm going to go ahead and hydrate my skin. First I'm going to use my Dr. Dennis Gross Hyaluronic Do It All Eye Gel, and I'm applying this with a rice grain amount underneath my eyes. And I'm going to keep pressing this in for a while because I'm going to prime underneath my eyes to make sure that my concealer doesn't settle into my lines. Okay, so my skin's already hydrated with my moisturizer, so I'm going to go right into priming underneath the eye. And my favorite primer that I've used so far is the Makeup Forever Lip and Eye Primer. And I do not want to use a lot of this. I just want to use just about a rice grain amount as well, and I'm using my fingers just so I can really push this into the skin. And then before you go in with any other product, you're going to want to let this kind of set and dry down just so that the products don't mix together. Next I'm going to go into color correcting underneath the eyes, and I'm using my LA Girl Pro Conceal, and this is shade Peach. And again, I'm going to apply a little bit to my fingers, and then only places where I have any discoloration, so it's mostly in the inner corner of my eyes, and then right a little bit down to where I have my dark circles, and it already instantly brightens up the eye. And then you can go ahead and just blend out the edges so that there's no harsh lines, but we're going to put concealer over the top of this anyways. Before I go into my concealer, I'm going to let that dry down, and I'm going to go in with my foundation. I'm using my Lancome Skin Feels So Good Healthy Glow Skin Tint, and I really wanted to use this product because it has just like a natural finish to it, and I can always use powder in the end to mattify any areas that I want. I'm going to use my sponge for this, so I'm going to do one pump at a time just so I don't over apply, and then use my wet sponge and go around to the areas that need coverage. Now that I have my skin tint on, I'm going to go ahead and put on my concealer, and I'm using my Maybelline Master Conceal that I always use. I'm probably going to have to start switching up my concealers so that you guys can see different coverages and textures, but I just love this one so much. I'm going to just apply a little bit to the back of my hand, use that sponge again, and apply where I want to highlight around the face, and also just to cover that color corrector that was underneath my eye. Before I powder anything down too, I like to make sure all my product is set and to see how it naturally settles into the skin and dries down. And this one definitely does mattify pretty well. So I don't want to powder any areas that might already be dry and powdery. So I'm going to let that set. My skin's already starting to get set here, so I'm going to go in next with my liquid or cream blush, and this is Glossier Cloud Paint, and this is the Seamless Cheek Color in shade Puff. And I'm going to apply a little bit of this to the back of my hand as well. A little bit of this goes a long way, so I just did a little dab, and I'm using my same sponge to apply. And she is wearing this almost as her contour. She's not really wearing much bronzer or contour shade, so apply this in a way that will emphasize your cheekbones without having to contour. So now to just add a little bit more color to the skin, because it's definitely a little lighter than the rest of my body, I'm going to go in with my Natasha Denona Blush Duo. Kind of dust this over where I applied my blush, just to enhance that area a little bit. And then over in the forehead. This is kind of a browner blush tone, so it can also warm up your skin if it's on the lighter side. Try not to mess up the hair. And then I'm gonna go and mattify some of the areas that are a little shiny that I want to tone down a bit. So I'm using Revlon Color Stay Pressed Powder, and this is in translucent shade. I'm actually gonna use my sponge. And you can dab over the areas with your sponge here to mattify. And this just applies a little bit of powder and hydrates it at the same time so your skin doesn't get too dry. So I'm going to go in with my spoolie and my concealer shade and just apply this into the hairs very lightly. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of pressed powder over the top. Alright, now let's move on to the eyes. So we're going to put a little bit of our primer down on the lid. And if you did what I just did and put too much on your finger, you can actually use this for your lips. It's an eye and lip primer, so you can apply it to your lip. It'll smooth out any texture on your lips. Especially if you're using a matte shade, it works really well to keep it from looking dry and cracked. Alright, so next I'm just going to go, I don't really need to even out the skin tone on my lid. I'm going to go right into my Norvina palette here, and I'm going to take my finger and apply a little bit of this Wild Child shade, and by using my finger it will help to not place too much pigment. It'll give me more control over how much is put on my eye, and she has kind of like a very sheer glow to her eye, so we're going to create more of like a halo effect and apply this pink all over, and then highlight just the center of the eyelid with a brighter shade. This color is beautiful because when you move your head in the light, it kind of changes. It's more of like an iridescent pink, very subtle. So we're going to go in with Dreamer shade and apply that just to the center to brighten up and give it a pop of light. Then I'm going to go in with my small brush and do the same thing underneath the eye. Alright, next thing we're going to do is go in and curl the lashes, and she doesn't really have much mascara on, so we're going to use liquid liner to just coat the lashes so that they don't have any powder on them. And the next part's the tricky part, so we're going to do the QR code style graphic eye with the liquid liner, and I'm using Stila Stay All Day waterproof liquid liner, and I'm going to go ahead and look into my mirror and do this really quick, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so I completed the eye details, and the hardest part of this whole thing was creating symmetry on both sides and creating squares. I did a lot more rectangles, and it took a while to do this, but it's a pretty cool look. It's very futuristic. Next, I'm going to go into the lips, and that's actually our last finishing touch. I'm going to use Tarte lip paint, and this is the birthday suit color. This is matte, and I'm just going to apply this over the top of my primer that is already dried and settled and is nice and smooth. Okay, this is the final look. I hope y'all enjoyed and were inspired by some of the looks at Met Gala this year. If you have any other requests for looks that were seen at this year's event, go ahead and drop a comment below, and I can try to make a video for you guys coming soon. Alright, thank you so much. Like and subscribe.